There was a known hospital. It was famous for its skilled staff, especially Dr. Betty and Nurse Rosa, who were known for their compassionate care. The hospital welcomed patients from the surrounding regions, each with their unique stories woven into the fabric of life. One bright Friday morning, a young woman named Stella was rushed to the hospital by her boyfriend named Desmond. Stella had been feeling unwell for some time, but today the pain had become unbearable. As she entered the ER, the sounds of the beeping machines filled the air, mirroring the rising tension in the room. "Dr. Betty, we have an urgent case," Rosa called out as she guided Stella onto an examination bed. Desmond's heart raised, his gaze fixed on Stella, who was clutching her abdomen in agony. "Stay with me, Stella," he whispered, reassuring. But Stella's face was pale and beads of sweat dotted her forehead. Dr. Betty, a seasoned physician with years of experience, walked into the room. She was known for her calm demeanor and sharp instincts. "What seems to be the issue?" "What seems to be the issue?" she asked, her voice gentle yet authoritative. I don't know," Stella gasped, her voice strained. "It hurts so badly, like something is inside me, tearing apart." Dr. Betty's expression hardened with concern. "We will take good care of you, Stella." Rosa prepared for an emergency ultrasound. As the machine hummed to life, the room hushed, everyone's eyes fixated on the screen. The atmosphere felt heavy with anticipation. The scan revealed shadows, ominous shapes hidden within Stella. A flicker of worry exchanged between Dr. Betty and Nurse Rosa. "What is it?" Desmond asked, his voice tense. Dr. Betty paused, her brows furrowed. "There is something unusual here, and we need to act quickly. It's essential that we perform a surgical extraction immediately." Stella's breath itched in fear. "Will I be okay?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Depending on what we find, we will do everything we can to help you. I promise," Dr. Betty reassured her as they wheeled Stella into surgery. Meanwhile, outside the OR, a small prayer group gathered in the hospital's chapel, consisting of 6 devoted friends who often volunteered their time to support patients. They were praying for Stella's quick recovery, and the group's leader, Auntie Rita, imbued their gathering with warmth and faith. "Let us light a candle for Stella and send her our love and strength," Auntie Rita encouraged, her voice soothing the anxious heart of the group. Back in the operating room, Dr. Betty and her team labored skillfully. Hours passed, and finally the procedure was complete. As the team gathered around, Dr. Betty took a deep breath before revealing the troubling news. "We have extracted several large cysts, but they were unlike anything I have ever seen before, each containing strange gelatinous sac." "What does that mean?" Rosa asked, concern lacing her tone. Dr. Betty frowned, her mind racing. "I don't know yet, but these anomalies are unlike any typical cyst. We need to run further tests to understand what we are dealing with. I have never encountered something like this in my years of practice." Meanwhile, Desmond waited anxiously, his eyes darted to every nurse that passed by. He couldn't shake the feeling of dread coursing through him. He thought of calling Auntie Rita and the prayer group for support, but decided to wait for news first. The next day, Nurse Rosa entered Stella's room, a folded-in hand. Her expression was serious. "Stella, how are you today?" "Still sore, but a bit better," Stella replied weakly. looking at Rosa for answers. Rosa took a deep breath, then proceeded carefully. The tests have revealed something rather alarming. The contents of the cest haven't shown typical signs of infection, but they contain an unusual material that doesn't belong in your body. We are trying to practice its origins. Stella's heart sank as she glanced towards Desmond, who was leaning against the wall. The weight of uncertainty pressed heavily on them both. As days passed, the prayer group continued rallying behind Stella. Each visit brought the warmth, calm, and spiritual support, bolstering Stella's resolve. Stella's auntie often prayed with her, whispering words of hope. "You are strong, my sweet girl. We believe you will overcome this," she said encouragingly, squeezing Stella's hand. But what none of them realized was how deep the mystery ran. Suspicion began to rise among the group. Stories of dark forces at play began to swell in rush whispers. One evening, as they gathered back at the hospital, Auntie Rita pulled Desmond aside. "What do you really know about Stella's condition?" she pressed, her gaze intense. "I don't know. All I can tell you is I have been by her side the whole time. It is terrifying," Desmond replied, feeling overwhelmed. Rita narrowed her eyes, taking a step closer. "I'm sensing something darker here. We need to consider that this might be caused by something beyond the medical realm." Desmond listened closely, the idea chilling him. "What are you saying, Auntie Rita?" "I believe someone might be behind this," Auntie Rita whispered, her voice barely above a hush. "Someone close to her." That night, while the prayer group gathered in the chapel, Auntie Rita suggested holding a spiritual cleaning ritual. "We cannot let Stella fight this alone. We need to invoke healing from the higher powers to rid her of whatever has taken root inside her," she declared passionately. The group agreed and they prepared for the healing section. All the while, Desmond felt a strange weight on his heart. Memories of ease and Stella's happiness, times flickering through his mind, but now tinged with worry. As the spiritual unfolded, candles lit, incense thick in the air. Each member took turns speaking words of healing. Toward the void they sensed strengthening Stella's life. But as they prayed, a cracking energy filled the room. Suddenly, Desmond felt a deep, unsettling presence lurking. Who sent this darkness? Auntie Rita yielded as she began to visibly shake, sensing something amiss. Nurse Rosa happened upon them mid-ritual. Confusion edged her features. "What's going on here?" she asked. The mystery in her tone cleared. "Stella needs us. There is something dark holding her captive," Auntie Rita replied urgently. Rosa, anxious to help, suggested they visit Dr. Betty together. But with the weight of uncertainty still heavy on their hearts, the next morning, as Stella began to regain strength, whispers began to swirl about the hospital. Patients spoke of strange omens and events, and Dr. Betty became increasingly aware of shadows lurking outside the realm of reason. A few days later, when the prayer group returned, the atmosphere was more charged than before. As Auntie Rita led them through their routines, complications began emerging. Desmond couldn't feel the tension that seemed to clench to everything. "Something is amiss," he declared, frustration and disbelief overwhelming him. We need to confront this head on. Whatever it is that is haunting us, we will face it together. Finally, the moment arrived. Dr. Betty called Desmond, Rosa, and Auntie Rita to office. Her expression was grave. I ran another test, and the results are concerning. This seems connected to something other than a mere medical anomaly. I believe we should delve deeper, perhaps seek a specialist. And so, as the threads of their fate intertwined, Desmond vowed to remain by Stella's side. They determined that together they would unravel the mystery that lay protected in the shadows, fighting back against the darkness that sought to define Stella's reality. Auntie Rita led the prayer group with renewed vigor, her strength empowering every soul around her. Their hope, fueled with love and faith, became the light piercing through the oppressive darkness that had entered Stella's life. As the darkness encroached upon them, what they didn't know was that the true fight was only beginning, and they were destined to face more than mere medical challenges. Their journey would unravel truths hidden in the heart of Acacia Grove and test the limits of love, friendship, and faith. With unity, they would rise, facing the shadows, discovering that in the face of fear, resilience and love will be their guiding light. One prayer, one heartbeat at a time. After Dr. Betty called for a specialist to consult on Stella's unusual condition, murmurs of concern rippled through hospital. Desmond, determined to remain vigilant by Stella's side, met with Nurse Rosa right outside the office. Rosa, what do you think is happening to her? Desmond asked, anxiety edged his voice. This isn't just about medical issues anymore. I can feel something sinister lurking. Rosa, her expression a mix of professionalism and concern, nodded gravely. I can't shake the feeling that whatever Stella is undergoing has deeper roots. The zest and whatever inside her could be a manifestation of something much darker, something that may have been set in motion long before she felt unwell. But how do we fight something we can't see? Desmond responded, feeling overwhelmed. What am I even supposed to do? I can't just sit idle while she suffers. We can support her, Rosa replied determinedly, by encouraging the spiritual community to rally around her. If Auntie Rita and the prayer group believe something malevolent is at play, we should join them and commit our energies together, finding a solution. Meanwhile, Stella lay in her hospital bed, her body weary but her spirit unbroken. As she began to recover from the surgery, she was visited by her Auntie Rita, whose strong presence suited Stella's frazzled nerves. Sweetheart, I know you are feeling better, Auntie Rita said, her voice soft, yet firm. But we need to confront whatever darkness is impacting you. We are going to invite a healing minister to join our prayer group section. You will be surrounded by love and support. Stella felt a glimmer of hope at her auntie's words. I'm scared, Auntie Rita, she admitted. What if this darkness doesn't leave me? You have more strength within you than you realize, dear. Auntie Rita replied, holding Stella's hand tightly. Love, faith, and intention are powerful forces against darkness. We will stand together, and I promise you won't fight this alone. That evening, Auntie Rita gathered the prayer group in the hospital chapel. The room was adorned with flickering candles, fragrant incense, voices murmuring soft prayers of healing, strength, and Desmond joined them, feeling the power of their intention wash over him. Today we call upon divine protection and guidance. Auntie Rita began, her voice steady. We believe Stella's suffering can be alleviated by surrounding her with the purest love. The group joined in harmony of voices, invoking blessings that seemed to hum through the air. As they prayed, the atmosphere changed. It became charged with energy, a tangible force and surge around them in that house reveal of prayer. Auntie Rita caught a glimpse of something, a flicker of the edge of a perception. She shook her head slightly, forcing herself to focus. Yet, the sensation persisted, urging her to remain vigilant. The next morning, the specialist, Dr. Solomon, arrived. He was a man of advanced knowledge, equipped to navigate the darkest corners of medical mysteries. He entered Stella's room, wearing glasses and a white coat, his face youthful yet etched with deep thoughts. Upon meeting Desmond's eyes, he politely extended his hand. "Good morning, I am Dr. Solomon, and I hear we have quite the puzzle to solve," he said, scanning Stella with an expression that suggested he saw more than just a patient. "Thank you for coming, Doctor," Desmond said, shaking his hand firmly. "This is Stella, and we all have an unsettling feeling that there is more to her illness than just the anomalies." "Interesting," Dr. Solomon amused as he approached Stella. His personality was calm, yet curiosity sparkled in his eyes. He performed a thorough examination and reviewed previous scans before addressing the group. "Stella, your body has responded to our initial treatment, and though the physical signs have subsided, the root cause eludes us," he said thoughtfully. "I will need to run more specific tests, perhaps a more detailed imaging study, to review underlying factors. I feel like this is more than just a physical ailment," Desmond interjected. "We believe something spiritual is involved." At this time, Dr. Solomon paused, a flicker of understanding crossing his face. "Sometimes the body reflects issues that stem from the deeper emotion or spiritual realm. It may be wise to address the emotional trauma that could be contributing to your physical health." Stella's breath caught in her throat. "You think that's why this is happening?" she asked, her voice quavering. Dr. Solomon nodded slowly. "It's worth exploring. Have you had a significant emotional event or stress recently that you can identify?" Stella thought for a moment. Her heart was heavy with fear of the unknown and the added burden of feeling misunderstood. "I haven't felt like myself in a long time. My relationship has been tumultuous. I have been feeling anxious about my future." "Let's address those feelings. Healing isn't purely physical," he reminded her. "You may also benefit from the healing energies your family is invoking with their spiritual practices." Inspired by Dr. Solomon's words, Desmond turned to Stella. "Then we must open up to Auntie Rita and the prayer group. They can guide us through working on your mind and spirit." After Dr. Solomon departed, Stella's heart swelled with newfound determination. That evening, she participated in another healing section, if desperate, trying to penetrate their circle. It was then that Stella began to shake, her body trembling in response to the presence spiraling around her. In that moment, she felt a shift. Memories of her relationship flooded her mind. Moments of happiness intertwined with pain. She felt compelled to speak. "You have no power here. You will not take my life," she declared. Surprisingly, even herself with the strength of her voice. "Let the light through, Stella," Auntie Rita encouraged, raising her hands as the group echoed her sentiment, channeling energy towards Stella. With every word, Stella felt the shadows wince as if unable to withstand the warmth radiating from those who surrounded her. The interwoven prayers took on a new dimension, an electrifying energy that shimmered with resolve. "I reclaim my body, my spirit, and my future in the name of Jesus." Suddenly, the darkness convulsed one last time, shrouded in swirling lights, encased them all. In a dazzling explosion of energy, light erupted, shimmering through the room, and with it, the shadows unraveled. The group fell silent, awash in warmth. Stella fell back against her pillows, tears of relief streaming down her face. The oppressive weight lifted. I, I feel free," she whispered. The prayer groups burst into joyous laughter, embracing one another, thankful as they sensed the triumph over darkness. Over the following days, Stellas began to heal rapidly. Dr. Solomon performed new tests that confirmed there were no lingering signs of the anomalies, and she was finally discharged from the hospital. United by the experience, Desmond, Auntie Rita, Nurse Rosa, and their prayer group forged an even deeper bond. They celebrated Stella's recovery with a grand picnic by the river bank, honoring the strength that comes from community. The air was fragrant with laughter, food, shared stories, and newfound hope. Under that vast blue sky with laughter echoing through around them, Stella felt empowered. She reflected on the journey she had taken, not just the physical battles, but the emotional and spiritual ones forged in the crucible of crisis. "I can't believe how far we have come." Looking around her loved ones, what started as a struggle has turned into a blessing. They made plans to recreate a support group for others who felt lost in darkness. Their goal was to enlighten and uplift, forging bonds of safety for those who tread through unseen challenges. As the shadows of uncertainty that once quelled Stella's spirit faded into history, it ushered in a new dawn, one where resilience blossomed, illuminating the power within them all. Each shared hope led to greater understanding, transforming their tales, making them a source of strength and healing. The journey was not just theirs, but an invitation to illuminate the collective heart of the city, where each story united in strength against the darkness of despair. Thus, woven together in faith, they ventured forth the seed of resilience, blossom, assuring all that even in the darkest shadows, love could always emerge victoriously. What I will say about this story is we should always put our trust in God, be prayerful and vigilant. No matter the situation we find ourselves at that moment, we should try to make sure we connect with our Creator. God Almighty in every step of our life. And when you find yourself in the midst of any kind of challenge, channel your attention to God, pray, and your prayer will be answered. Thank you so much for watching this story. I am grateful for your support. Please do not forget to give this story a thumbs up, subscribe, and share to your friends and loved ones until I bring another one your way. Bye.